So far this good weather has brought both its advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that some of the squash plants are doing very well indeed, but the disadvantage is that not all of the squashes are getting to the kind of size and heft that I would expect them to get to. So the ones that are in the sun, the ground isn't necessarily holding the water as well because it's more exposed, and so they're crawling along. The plants are doing well because they're enjoying the sunshine, but there isn't necessarily enough sort of water in the ground for them to fatten up the fruits properly. So what we've got here is, this is a candy roaster, and it's only about the length of my hand, and as you can see it's already started to turn a little bit yellow, which means the skin is toughening up, but it's not going to get any bigger. The blue Hungarian, however, might still grow a little bit more, so I just need to get a bit of sort of more intense water in here to see if that one will grow a little bit bigger. If it doesn't, then it's all that matters. All that happens is it's just a small squash. It's not like it's going to lower in quality or anything just because it's smaller in size. But not everything and the allotment is struggling so much. Here we have a Marina di Chioggia squash, and this is massive. This is the biggest one I've ever grown, I think. And let's try and get a sense of scale here and move some of these leaves back. This curry's probably about twice the size of a baseball or a cricket ball, tennis ball size, and this is bigger than my head, basically. And my head's pretty big. And it's beautiful as well. Look at the colours in it. So this one's benefited from growing in the shade, so the moisture, these plants are all quite close together, so they're retaining some of their moisture. The ground isn't drying up as quickly, and as a result, the water is going into the squashes. You know, the plant is using it and putting them in there. The problem we have, the only problem that happens in this side of the bed, is because everything's so covered up, it's kind of more difficult for the pollinators to get in to the flowers, and you end up with this kind of issue. Because that's a gem squash, basically, that is, I mean, a sort of a curry squash that's not going to get as big as this one. That one's finished, and it's started to rot, which is why it's attracting pests now, with the holes on it, as you can see. The same thing happened with a candy roaster squash that was here at the back, but that is now gone. In fact, it's still there. Just about to make it out on the ground over there, behind that squash. That one was attacked by rodents. Basically, what had happened with that, it wasn't pollinated correctly. It had started to maybe go off a little bit and become a little bit pungent, and it attracted the local wildlife, which started to eat it. Now, another kind of success that the good weather has brought, that it's another thing that I thought was struggling and we weren't going to see anything from, is over in the other bed where the candy roasters is. This is my Musqué de Maroc plant, and it's not like being here at all. It's been like that basically since day one. It's got kind of mouldy in parts, with yellowing leaves and drying up leaves, so it's been fighting a battle with something, and I think it's just a lack of general nutrients in this area. So I didn't think we're going to get anything from it. I've been following the kind of leaders going out from it. Here's one here. This one is a leader going from it, and as you can see, all of the flowers are male. And the same with this one over here. All of the flowers are male. And I thought, no, this was the main leader that first started, and it's went up to here. And again, all the flowers are male. And occasionally you get a plant like that just refuses to make fruit. It's like it's not going to do anything. I thought, okay, I'll give it a week or two, and if it's still only producing male flowers, I'll pull it, because there's no point in having it anymore. Maybe the other squash plants round about it will get one a little bit better. But then I looked at this leader. I found this one. I didn't notice this one before. And as you can see, little squash. So finally, I'm going to get a Maroc. Look at that. Now these develop quite fast, squashes, so from that size, it'll grow quite large. It'll get to about that size. Given a little bit of rain, watering, whatever we need to do, it'll happen quite fast. It'll get quite large. Here, because this is another one, a curry squash that looks like it's nearly ready, although it's very tiny. The same problem as this candy roaster over here, because basically no water retention here at all in this part of the soil. Another couple of examples of why that side is doing better than this side is over here. Again, more squashes. This was the size of that little marrock that I showed you just there now, a couple of days ago. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's a blue Hungarian. However, the water retention around this area, this one isn't as big, and it doesn't look like it's going to get as big as the ones further over. And again, it's because this side of this is more exposed to the sun, so it's a little bit drier. As you can see, some of the leaves dry up a little bit. But here's where the shading begins. So that part of this is quite sparse, doesn't hold as much water. We're on a kind of slope coming down here, so the water kind of runs off down here and dries up a little bit. But that side, because it's so covered, a lot of it stays there and doesn't evaporate. But here we get to the part where things start to get shaded for the plants. And as you can see, this is a big beauty as well. This is a Hubbard squash. And these seem to be the most prolific of the varieties. And I've just actually spotted, if I can get my foot in here without standing on the plant, I've just actually spotted a gem squash. I've been looking for them. The gem squash plant was pretty poorly placed by me, right in the middle of the group of 5 that were in this sort of area. And as a result, and now they're the ones that will get harvested before all the others. So all the others will be harvested in October, all at the same time, frost dependent. But the gem squash are one of those, they're kind of harvested as they become ready. So I've made it difficult for myself getting into those. So that's my own damn stupid fault. And I can actually see another couple of gem squash in there, which you won't be able to make out in the camera. But I have a few more. There's a few more quite large ones I've just spotted there as well. Another blue Hungarian, kind of down in there. That's quite a large one. So from about here in, they start to get progressively larger, and then when you get to the other end over there, again, it starts to thin out a little bit. You can actually see the leaves are a little bit smaller. And so the curries and things like that up there aren't as big as the ones that have grown in the way. Again, because of the kind of water loss at that side. But down here, you may have seen a short I released earlier on, where I put that one into view. That's the biggest candy roaster I have this year. It's quite huge. It's just nearly as big as the ones I had last year. So this one isn't finished growing yet. This has got a bit to go yet. So hopefully it'll get to be as big as the ones last year. Last year's ones were about 45 centimetres, which is about, I don't know, about 15 inches, 16, 17 inches long. So they were quite, yeah, they were quite good. They lasted quite a long time as well. Although having smaller ones is probably better if you've got a smaller family, because they don't keep very long once you've cut them off. So you kind of have to use a whole one if you're only a couple, which is quite difficult to do unless you make soup and freeze it or something like that. By the way, soup, excellent with these. I'm not sure about the rest of them, but candy roasters, the curries, and a couple of others are the only ones that I've grown before. All the other ones are new to me. I want to see if I've got a blue banana here. I do. There we are. This is a blue banana variety. Again, this is another one that I'm growing for the first time. These ones are apparently quite rare, so I isolated a couple of the flowers to keep the seeds, so that I can keep growing them and I don't need to keep sourcing them from elsewhere. It's nice when you get to keep varieties alive. There's another smaller one there. And I don't know what size they're supposed to get to. I'll need to consult that. But I would imagine it needs to get a little bit bigger yet. And obviously because it's still striated and it's still very green, I would imagine that's got quite a bit to go yet as well. But again, it's one of the plants that's quite shaded and, you know, a bit of water retention down there. Up here with the little Muscat de Provence plants, fruits growing. I don't know how they'll last growing in this sort of rickety framework. Once they start getting heavy, I think this is going to start pulling down, which should be fun to see. There's another blue banana in there that I just spotted. Look at another, there's another candy roaster, there's another candy roaster as well. So if that one starts to grow to about the same scale as the one behind it, then yeah, this definitely will start sagging down a little bit, which won't be fun. I'll take you along to the other side of the allotment just to see the other gem squashes and how they're getting along. So, as before, I grew this is a two sisters sort of thing going on. It's beans, 3 different kinds of beans, and I stuck a gem squash plant right slap bang in the middle, and I've already had 4 from it. And you're only expected to get 4 per plant. So I've had 4 from it. And as you can see here, I've got another 2 kind of massive ones as well, again, growing on it. They are bigger than they really should be. Again, I did say earlier on that I think I've crossed these inadvertently with something last year because these were safe seed. Although, the same batch of seeds have grown the other ones, which are the correct shape, that grew this one. So, maybe just an aberration. Maybe just an aberration from a previous cross, from previous seed saving. I don't know, but something that's skipped a generation. But these 2 are ready to come off. I can take these off. Now that's the size. I don't want them to get any bigger than that, if they're going to grow any bigger than that. And I'll just take them home and harden them off, and they'll keep for about a month before you need to use them. And just before I finish this video, it's just another example of one where even though this soil is very good, you know, this was newly mulched with animal manure at the beginning of the season, because I was growing so many other things in here, and this was kind of a spare squash plant. It kind of got a little bit outfought by some of the other plants round about it. Now that they're all out, it's getting on a little bit better. It's started to grow new leaders, as you can see, with new fruit, and it's become quite actually prolific. There's probably too much on here for it to grow, so a couple of them, it will self-prune itself, and it will get rid of some of these fruits. As you can see, there's 4 in picture just in this one leader stem, and it will self-prune like it has done here. This one, as you can see, is a bit rotted at the end. It's dying back, and another one down there that's rotted away. Hopefully this comes to something. Looking at it, this is another blue banana. There's another one there, so that's 5 just in this small section here. So possibly this one, being the larger one, will survive, and the others will die back. But we'll wait and see. But that's another example of what can happen if they get a little bit drowned out by things. You can see it's quite reedy and thin and yellow as well. But they do recover, as we're seeing here. They do recover once they do start pulling the nutrients. Once they do get the ground to themselves, the roots spread out, find more, and off it goes. Inside the polytunnel, I've kind of found this year that there isn't really any great benefit to be had from growing certain squash plants in your polytunnel. Perhaps butternut squashes, because I believe they need a little bit more heat. The butternut squashes I have outside aren't doing very great. That's Waltham butternut, which I thought would do better, but isn't doing that great. In here, this is a candy roaster plant, and although it's got some fruits on it, and the plant appears to be very healthy, I think the plant is going to be very healthy, but the fruits aren't going to develop as much, just because all of the energy in here, there's so much energy coming into the plants from the sun that the plants are going to do well and the fruits aren't. So I think we've got just the correct balance outside as opposed to inside. So things that I will probably grow in the polytunnel next year, if I'm going to grow squash in here at all, it will be more the butternut squash side of things. We've got another one down here, which I think is another Musca de Maroc. Yeah, I can see it down there. And it doesn't have anything on it at all. So the one outside struggling a little bit. The plant in here is a little bit healthier, but at least the one outside is now got fruit on it, and this one still doesn't. This is its leader coming out here, so it's coming all the way around from over there. So yeah, I don't see any benefit to growing squashes in the polytunnel as opposed to outside. I think they get on a lot better outside, even in our climate. And yeah, stick to butternut squashes for inside the polytunnel. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and like. And if you want to see more of these, I'm doing these updates periodically, probably every 2 weeks or so. And if you want to keep tabs on what we're doing, then please subscribe, and if it fits you, if it suits you, hit the little alarm bell which will alert you to when there's new content going up. Thanks for watching.